Hello, we're going to talk about grammar and specifically about how to make a comparison in English, how to compare things, okay? So let's see. We have adjectives which are composed of either one syllable, two syllables, or adjectives which have more than two syllables, okay? And depending on the number of syllables is the way that we have to construct the comparison. Let's have a look. First of all, to a higher degree, we use more plus the adjective or the adjective plus the ending er plus the word than to compare two things. Now let's have a look at some examples. One-syllable adjectives, okay? Adjectives that only have one syllable. If the adjective ends in a vowel plus a consonant, we have to double the consonant. For example, hot. Hot becomes hotter with double T plus the ending er. Hotter and the hottest, double T, E-S-T. If the adjective ends in E, we just add an R. For example, fine, finer, or the finest, okay? So we take the E from the adjective and add the R of the comparison. Okay, now in case of two-syllable adjectives, what we do is if the adjective ends in a consonant plus the letter Y, we drop the letter Y and add the ending I-E-R or I-E-S-T. Higher, highest. For example, happy, happier, or the happiest. Okay, so the Y is converted into an I. If the adjective ends in a vowel plus the letter Y, we don't drop the Y and add simply ER or EST. For example, grey, grayer, greyest. Okay, so in those cases, we keep the Y in its place. Now, remember that. If the adjective ends in OW, then we have to simply add the ending ER or EST. Narrow, narrower, the narrowest. Okay, now let's see. When we have adjectives that have more than two syllables, we have to use the word more for the comparative form and the word most for the superlative. For example, this exam is more important than the other one. More important than. Important is an adjective that has more than two syllables. For the superlative, this is the most important exam, okay? The most, the superlative, which goes before the adjective. More important, before the adjective. If we're talking about the same degree, we use the structure as plus the adjective plus as, okay? And to end, the object which is being compared. For example, this tool is as useful as the one you lent us. As useful as. The same, okay? So we're describing the same degree. It's equally whatever. To a lower degree, if we want to express a lower degree, we use the structure less plus the adjective plus than or the least plus the adjective. Let's have a look. We use the structure less plus adjective plus than to express comparison. For example, My dog is less noisy than yours. Okay, so he is less noisy. We use the structure the least plus the adjective to express the superlative. For example, my neighborhood is the least noisy. Okay, the least. Now, let's see some irregular adjectives. The adjective good becomes better, the best. Okay, better for the comparison, the best for the superlative. My brother is a better student than I was. Okay, he's better than I was. My brother is the best student in his class. Bad becomes worse or the worst. Little becomes less or the least. Much becomes more or the most. Far becomes further or farther, and the furthest, the farthest. Okay, for example, our UPV campus is further from the stadium than the UV, okay, the University of Valencia. Our UPV campus is further from the stadium than the University of Valencia campus, but we are nearer to the beach. Okay, and let's see. Comparatives can be modified by adding the following words before the comparative structure. These are some examples. We can say a bit smaller, okay? Smaller, we're comparing something that has less size, okay? It's smaller, and we can add the explanation a bit, slightly smaller, a bit smaller, a little bigger, okay? It's bigger, but only a little bit. Far less appealing, far, okay? Take something to an extreme, okay? Far less appealing. Much more important, or very much more important. Emphasizing a lot more. No worse than on previous occasions. No worse. It isn't worse. No worse than on previous occasions. Not any higher. Slightly more different. Okay, slightly. A little bit more different, slightly. A lot cheaper. Far cheaper. A lot cheaper. Almost as expensive as. Just as elegant as. Okay, just as. Expressing something equally. Equally elegant. Not quite as rare as, or we can say not nearly as cheap as, okay? Or rather quicker. We can use the word rather, okay? It's rather quicker. It's a lot quicker, in fact. Also, bear in mind that some adjectives are rarely used with a comparative or superlative form, as they already express that sense themselves. For example, the word complete, equal, favorite, ideal, or unique. Okay? And also we have comparative and superlative forms that can be used in this particular structure. Now, let's see these examples. The more important the person is, the louder they applaud. Okay, so it's a consequence. The more this, and another, and the comparison. The funnier the joke is, the louder they laugh. The faster you drive, the more petrol you use. Okay, and here it's very important to separate both parts of this sentence with the comma. It's very important to have that comma there. The faster you drive, comma, the more petrol you use. Okay, so the second part of the sentence is a consequence of the first part. The longer she stays in Brazil, the less likely she is to come back. Pressure is the highest where velocity is the highest. Okay, in this case, we can omit the article, the definite article the. We can say pressure is highest where velocity is highest. Okay, and that's all for the time being. Thank you. Bye-bye.